From northern Illinois to Sandy Hook and countless crime scenes in between, we seem to learn about the mental health of mass killers after the shooting stops. But what about preventing violence by the dangerously mentally ill?
ABC 7 investigative reporter Chuck Gowdy takes us inside one family's frightening dilemma.
It is, Ron. Kathy, there are nearly 8 million American adults tonight with severe mental illness. While half go untreated, the majority are not violent. Most are not dangerous. Most are not out of control. But it takes only one to create pain and suffering for many. And this is the story of one.
I was getting ready to make dinner. It's just like this. And I looked out, and I'm seeing this man.
Sylvia Benninger says the sight of a man in her south suburban backyard stopped her cold. She thought that her mentally ill stepson finally showed up to do what she says he has been promising for more than 20 years.
He would tell me how he was going to murder my husband, and if I got in the way, he was going to take me out with him.
The stepson, Edward Benninger, is now 50 years old. He has long and extensive psychiatric, criminal, and prison histories that began in 1979, including arrests for violence and gun possession. In 1987, he had to be discharged early from the Air Force.
My husband started receiving telephone calls from doctors and from police departments in California, telling him that he needed to be extremely cautious because his son was intent upon killing him, and they believed that he would carry it out.
In 1997, Benninger was charged with threatening to murder this federal judge in Indiana, saying he was on a mission to kill Judge Rudy Lozano and cap all of his colleagues. Before trial, he was sent to this federal prison hospital where doctors determined he was delusional, psychotic, paranoid, bipolar, had schizoaffective disorder, and was dangerous.
He believes that he is a government assassin. He believes the government is paying him to do this.
Federal charges were dropped in the Indiana judge threat after Benninger agreed to mental health treatment. But 10 years later, Benninger pleaded guilty to doing the very same thing again, this time threatening to murder federal judges in Pittsburgh. In both cases, according to public records, he avoided prison and was released to the streets in no more than a year. Since 2011, Mrs. Benninger says her stepson has left hundreds of threatening phone messages against family members. She says she has received more than 100 threatening calls since November, most of them from pay phones in Los Angeles, and has turned over the recordings to police.
We're going to pop his head, man, with a 9mm. Here's that,
He has never once stayed on his treatment plan. And I know of at least a dozen institutions he's been into, and every one he has gone off and gone back into this psychotic state.
There is a 2-year-old warrant for Benninger's arrest in Cook County for phone harassment. After the I-Team alerted public officials to the continuing problem, late today, the Cook County Sheriff's Department expanded the arrest warrant.
We have requested that the scope of the warrant be lifted so that it's a nationwide warrant, so that there can be more aggressive efforts put in place to take him into custody and hold him accountable for the charges here in Cook County.
His stepmother says until he is locked away, when incidents such as Boston or Sandy Hook happen, she is petrified.
I stay glued to the TV because I am so afraid that until they tell me who did it, he did it. Because he's out there and he's doing this and nobody will take him off the street.
Illinois mental health officials declined to discuss Benninger's case, but tonight the state's chief psychiatrist says he believes in most cases early access to mental health services does help prevent tragedies.
I also believe that there's sometimes, despite everyone's best efforts, the best efforts of families and the best effort of physicians and the best effort of broader social systems, that there can be really bad outcomes.
Fearing such an outcome, Mrs. Benninger recently obtained an Illinois gun permit.
And I'm sorry, I'm the victim. I am not the criminal. If I can't defend myself, he's right. It's all over for me.
For the past month, the I-Team tried to find her stepson. Like police, we found no record of where he is. He may be homeless and living on the street. Benninger's father died a few years ago, and Sylvia says she has since become the main target. Despite the danger of speaking out in public, Mrs. Benninger says she thinks it is more dangerous to be frightened in private. She hopes that by putting light on her family's situation, she may bring mental illness out of the shadows. This really is the underbelly of the gun issue.
Frightening, but a courageous woman.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Chuck. A young essay contest winner gets the star treatment tonight, along with the daughter of baseball legend.